G'day guys, it's Tim Guest here, just jumping on Facebook Live. Wanted to answer some of the questions that we've been getting on the Facebook page, so hence why I'm here today. So first of all, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Probably not so great if you're a footy tipper. One of the records was set in the AFL. Pretty much every team that was underneath was the team that won. So you know, hope your tipping went all right. I know mine didn't. But anyway, the reason why I wanted to get on today, we had Jane got on the Facebook page and she asked us a question about Keystart loans. So for those of you that are not familiar with Keystart loans, Keystart is essentially they're a government-backed lending institution that operate particularly here in WA. And what they do is they provide low deposit loans to low to medium income earners. So essentially the point is that they're designed to be able to help people get on the ladder when it comes to home ownership. So I just wanted to address some of the questions that Jane had, particularly about Keystart, just give you guys some background and, you know, some pros and cons and some understanding about exactly how they work. So Keystart does provide, like I said, low deposit loans to low to medium income earners here in WA. They'll help you whether you're looking to buy an established house. They'll also help you whether you're looking to buy a new or build a new house, like a house and land package as an example. So the way that it works will also depend on, I mean, one of the things that they're primarily geared towards is also first homeowners, because first homeowners will also be given additional incentives by the West Australian State Government in terms of things like the stamp duty concessions and in terms of the first home buyers grant, which currently for brand new homes is $15,000 and they don't offer anything at all for established homes. So to give you a bit of a sense about how that would work if you were someone looking to take advantage of a Keystart loan. So Keystart, say if we take an example of, say, a $480,000 home, I mean, you're talking the median house price here in Perth. So if you're going to be building a home, obviously some of that would be made up by the building contract and the other part would be made up by the block of land. So let's just say it's about 50-50, say $240,000 for a house, $240,000 for a block of land. So Keystart require a 2% deposit, meaning that the 2% would then add up to $9,600. Of this 2% deposit, and this is the really important part, they require you to have 1% genuine savings. So the government want you to demonstrate that you can save funds to qualify for this loan. So if you're talking 1% deposit, you're talking $4,800. They'll want to either see you have this money sitting in an account where it's earning interest for probably around about 3 months. They'll typically class that as genuine savings, or excuse me, or they want to see you saving the $4,800 on a regular basis, whether that being weekly, fortnightly, along those lines. Okay. Now, if we're looking at buying a new home, if you're a first homeowner, then there's going to be no stamp duty. If you're not a first homeowner, then you'll be paying stamp duty on the block of land. And then normally what you need to allow for is roughly around about $3,000 in terms of things like settlement fees, rates and taxes, mortgage registration fees, all that kind of stuff as well. So what you'd be looking at is around about $12,600 in total if you're a first homeowner. Then as the first homeowner, you also get your $15,000 first homeowners grant applied to that, meaning that there's actually money left over from your first homeowners grant. It doesn't forego the fact though that they're still going to require you to have that $4,800 as genuine savings. So basically you can get into a brand new home through Keystart using $4,800 worth of genuine savings if we're talking about a $480,000 home. In terms of established, okay, if you're going to looking at buying an established home, well, what you're going to need in that respect, see, once again, the deposit still calculates as $9,600. It's 2%. G'day, Nick. How are you, mate? You're also going to then need stamp duty as well. So there's still some stamp duty concessions in terms of purchasing established homes as a first homeowner. However, you're still going to have approximately $10,000 worth of stamp duty and government charges involved. And then you've still got to put in the $3,000 worth of settlement fees that I was talking about before. So now what you're talking is about $22,000. Now, $22,000 is still a reasonable amount. However, if you're comparing it to, you know, standard banks, most of the time banks are going to want a minimum of about a 5% deposit, plus all your fees fees and charges, meaning that the money that you're going to need to get into that house is going to be significantly larger. So the great thing about Keystart is that it is going to enable you to get into, whether it be a brand new home or an established home, with a much lower deposit than what you would normally require. Now, like with everything in life, there's pros and there's cons, right? So I want to run through you what some of the benefits of obviously going through a government lender like Keystart, and also what are some of the downfalls, you might say. So one of the big benefits when it comes to Keystart is there's no requirement for lender's mortgage insurance. So if you're not familiar with lender's mortgage insurance, essentially what it means is this: if you're going to be buying or taking out a loan with a bank and you don't have greater than a 20% deposit, the bank will take out an insurance policy against you as a risk. You have to pay the premium. However, it doesn't cover you whatsoever. If you're putting in greater than 20% deposit, then the bank will not require you to have lender's and mortgage insurance. The amount of deposit that you're putting in, and of course the amount of money that you're actually borrowing, will impact the amount of lender's mortgage insurance that you might be paying. You know, but with some lenders, you might be paying something like $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 worth of lender's mortgage insurance on a package like I was previously quoting in terms of Keystart. So that's the pros in terms of the lender's mortgage insurance. It's not, with some banks it's not a big issue, because you can put the lender's mortgage insurance on top of the loan and borrow it, and then pay it back over the 30 years of your loan period. Excuse the Harley driving by. However, obviously it's an additional fee and an additional charge that you have to take into consideration. Obviously, the other big benefit of the Keystart loans is the fact that you can get into a mortgage with quite a low deposit. There is, of course, the flip side that we have to consider. So primarily Keystart, we've got to keep in mind they're a government lender. They're designed to help people that are on lower to middle incomes get into housing and into mortgages. So it's an assistance package. Okay, so clearly this assistant package is going to be a lot more limited than what a lot of banks are going to be looking to offer most clients out there. So one of the first things is this: Keystart, they have maximum house price purchasing that you can go for. So the maximum, if you're in the Perth metropolitan area, is $480,000, whether it's a house and land package or an established home. So if you're looking at buying a house over that price, Keystart will not even consider you. The other thing is that Keystart will also not even consider you if you're over a certain income threshold. G'day David, good to see you, mate. Welcome to the Facebook Live. So Keystart also will not lend to you if you're on you're over a certain income restriction. So once again, if you're looking at Perth metro areas, this does vary whether you're looking regional or in the northwest. But if you're a single income earner, maximum of $90,000 a year in terms of income. They won't look at you if you earn a cent more than that. If you're a couple, $115,000 is the limit. And if you're a family, i.e. you've got kids, then $135,000 is the maximum limit that they will go to when it comes to allowing you to purchase a home. So obviously that can be quite a considerable drawback. The other thing that comes with Keystart is the interest rates offered with Keystart are considerably more than what you can find out on the general market. At the moment, they're offering 5.22%. However, there's many banks out there offering, 4.5% along those lines. So you can be paying, upwards or maybe anything between 1 to maybe just over 1% in terms of the interest rate. So obviously that is going to put particularly at the end of the life of the loan, which is normally 30 years, that's a lot more expensive when it comes to a loan amount. So that's something else to be considered as well. The other thing that Keystart doesn't allow that most banks will allow is obviously flexibility as well. So they will only do lending on owner-occupied homes. Okay, so if you wanted to consider moving out of that home and turning that home into an investment property, if you've watched any of our previous Facebook Lives where we've talked about the differences between investment debt and personal debt, investment debt being tax deductible, personal debt not being tax deductible, personal debt without a doubt is the single biggest barrier to most people reaching their financial goals. So the fact that you've got no flexibility here to be able to convert that debt from personal to investment debt is also a serious drawback. And then probably the final thing that I'd also mention as well is that a lot of banks will tend to offer you a lot of other products when it comes to things like offset accounts and credit card facilities. Initially, most people have quite a negative connotation when it comes to credit cards, but used properly, credit cards can actually enable you to save thousands and thousands of dollars worth of interest off your home loan. Same applies to offset accounts. You know, most people will get paid, put all their money in the offset account, it'll offset the interest they're being charged, and it can save them thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars off the life of their loan. So, so there are some restrictions there when it comes to being able to utilise Keystart. Probably, you know, in terms of my final thoughts about whether people should look at using Keystart or not, look, at the end of the day, you know, if we look at historically, in Australia, the median house prices climbed at an average of 8.5% per annum over the last 50 years. So if Keystart enables you to get into a home sooner, then, and it's your only option, then my suggestion would be to use it, of course, on the basis that you can afford the higher repayments that come with paying a higher interest rate. If you've got the flexibility and you're able to use or access other lenders, my recommendation would be to use those. But of course, if you've got no other option and it's what's going to enable you to get in now rather than maybe having to wait a longer period of time where you might have to save up the additional deposit or the additional fees, then Keystart offers a great option. Now, just in case those of you, for those of you watching around Australia, Keystart is currently limited to Western Australia, so it is a West Australian government scheme. I'm going to do a little bit more research into what some of the other state governments around Australia offer, as we know that they, well, I do know that they offer certainly concessions when it comes to things like first home owner grant and stamp duties, but I don't know that any of the other states there have a lending facility like the West Australian government. The other thing that most people will do with Keystart also is this: they may use Keystart, g'day Paula, welcome to the Facebook Live, they may use Keystart to get into home ownership, i.e. buy a house, get into it, you know, then focus on putting as much money into paying the debt down as quickly as they can. Also, over time, as your equity continues to grow, once you're in a position where you've got around about 10% equity, then you could also take that Keystart loan, refinance it out of Keystart and move it to another lender. So that's another alternative option as well. Jane, you know, and for anyone else out there that wanted to know about the Keystart products, that's pretty much all I've got for you. I hope that answers. My notes just flopped up and you can see him cover the camera. So I hope that covers a lot of the questions that you've got with regards to Keystart's home loans out there. If you have any further questions about Keystart, please feel free to put them down in the comments. I'll get back to you and answer all your questions there. And of course, most importantly, if you've got any other questions out there at all, whether it be, you know, about investing, whether it be about money management, whether it be about, you know, maybe it's something along the lines you want inspiration or knowledge about me, we're always happy to provide as much information as we possibly can and give you the viewer out there as much value as we possibly can. You know, I have a real passion for sharing as much of this as I can, like someone once did with me, you know, when I was 22, which, you know, what are we talking, 16, 17 years ago now, which is what enabled me to be in the position that I am today. Guys, thank you much for your time. A lot of gratitude from me. Have a great week. I'll probably be jumping on and doing another Facebook Live later in the week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.